Yeah.
My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
It is Judd's Hockey Show. Judd and AJ. We are going to actually discuss. There was an interesting tweet from a well-known NHL agent yesterday about the salary cap and where things are going. So I crunched some of the contracts and looked at it, and actually the Wild's chances, assuming he wants to stay here, for keeping Quinn Hughes age look to be pretty good. But before we do that, guys, I want to have a conversation with you about something that's no fun to talk about, but absolutely positively key to your health. And that is getting a colonoscopy, and our friends at Minji. A colonoscopy from Minji Digestive Health is truly game-changing because it helps detect the disease at its earliest stage when it's most treatable and beatable. And it's the one test that can both detect and prevent colon cancer. And I know what you're thinking, it takes a long time, it's a lot of prep. Well, what's great about Minji, their colonoscopy prep uses a sports drink mixture that patients prefer, and the screening itself is quick and painless. Colon cancer doesn't start showing symptoms until it's in advanced stages. So the sooner you get screened, the better. Starting at age 45 is now the recommended time. Don't put it off. Schedule your game-changing, life-saving colonoscopy today at Minji.com. That's MNGI.com. All right, H. So Allan Walsh, who's been an agent for a bunch of players, including, if you recall, Marc-Andre Fleury, of course, who is now retired. He put out yesterday that he is hearing the NHL is projecting a cap upper limit. So this is not the floor, this is the ceiling. He is projecting, or that there is a projection that in 2028-29, the ceiling for the NHL salary cap will be $123 million. Now, just for some context, the cap right now for this season is 95.5. It is expected to rise in 26-27. It'll cross the 100 million threshold to 104. And then in 27-28, it's projected to be $113.5 million. But this is the first time that we've seen a projection for 28-29. And so this is going to go from, the expectation, I guess, now is $113.5 million in 27-28 to $123 million in 28-29. And in crunching the numbers for where the Wild stands, whose contract is up, whose is not, and by the way, whose contract has just become a complete bargain. Matthew Boldy, come on down. Right. Starting next season, you're going to have to pay, or you've agreed to pay, I shouldn't say have to. You've agreed to pay Kirill Kaprizov $17 million per season. So at first blush, it's like, okay, that's a lot, because it is a ton. And under the old cap, it's basically most of your cap. It's incredibly high. But anyway, in looking at who is signed and who is not, I think there's a Quinn Hughes case to be made, because there's a, I mean, with how good this dude is and what the Wild paid for Kaprizov age, I think there's a case to be made that he's going to, or probably pretty fairly say, hey, 16, 17 for me too, right? But with what we're talking about here, I think this has gone from being, boy, I don't know about that, to it's not only possible, it's very doable. And ultimately, at the end of the day, as long as he wants to stay here, I think you would get into a place where you could be paying two guys approximately $17 million per season, and it absolutely wouldn't cripple you as long as the cap continues to increase as expected. That was the Parise Suter problem, if you recall. We thought the cap was going up, up, up. So it's like, okay, by the end of those contracts, you're fine. Well, you weren't fine. In this case, I think you might be in a situation where the National Hockey League is thriving enough financially that it is not out of bounds to say you could pay both of those guys exorbitant salaries and get away with it.
The other reason why this is interesting is in the tweet that you're referring to, Allan Walsh also says, because somebody asked, like, hey, what's causing this? Is there more TV revenue that we don't know about or whatever? He says the upper limit is currently set significantly lower than where it should be according to the formula in the CBA. Right now, it should be in the $110 million range. So we're playing catch up, essentially, is what he's saying. And at one point, we're expected to see either one gross like mass jump to like you're talking about where it might go from the 113 all the way up to this brand new number, or you're going to see just significant growth year after year until it eventually catches up. This is great news for the Minnesota Wild. Like you said, with all of these guys that are going to be coming up, it helps that Matt Boldy, his current contract runs through the 29-30 season. So his first year on a new deal would be the 2030-31, which is weird to say, that like looking out that much. But on his deal right now, it's genuinely such a steal. You have Joel Eriksson, who will be up the year after this actually happens. He's making $5.25 million up until the end of the 28-29 season. So this actually, as much as we have maybe panicked and worried and been like, this is a problem for a later Bill Guerin or this is a problem for a later Minnesota Wild, but it looks bleak as is, it really might not be as tough to make things work as possible. Because if you already have set the market for a guy like Kirill Kaprizov saying, yes, we're willing to pay our franchise best player at $17 million a year starting next year. Well, if Quinn Hughes wants to stick around, paying him $17 million a year, don't get me wrong, it's going to make you cut some corners in other areas. But it might not be as bare bones in other areas as we originally thought, because you're not stuffing all the meat of the turkey into just like the chicken breast. You might still be able to get the drumsticks and the wings. Those wings might not be as beefed up and juicy as you like, but you might be able to make an actual hockey team, especially considering you do have your goalie, considering of the future, locked up through that, I think the 31-32 season in Philip Gustafson at $6.8 million a year. So who knows what Jesper Wallstedt is going to be doing after maybe even this summer potentially, because it doesn't feel feasible to have two goalies combining for much more than $10 million a year at some point. But Brock Faber at $8.5 million. Deep into the air, creeping into the 2030s. Quinn Hughes, you'd expect to try to be signing him. I think it actually makes a lot of sense that Bill Guerin, presuming he's still around in the Minnesota Wild, can make this all happen while still keeping the players that everybody wants.
And this team is actually going to look, so if there's two ways that this can go with Quinn Hughes. One is he is going to be in the last class of players eligible for an 8-year extension from his current employer. And just as importantly, he'll be in the last class of guys, because the CBA is going to change. The language changes in September, that you can front load contracts. So you can give him guaranteed money and signing bonuses that you cannot get starting in September. So he has a decision to make here. If you do this, you can offer him, obviously, starting on July 1st, just like a year ago with Kaprizov. You can offer him a 8-year extension, front load that contract, and that's a very attractive financial offer, especially if you want to come in at, let's say, 16 or something like that. Yeah. Now, I know that a bunch of guys, after Kaprizov signed, and we expected everyone would sort of, that Kirill had set the market, or Connor McDavid would exceed it, and everyone's like, I'll take less. So who knows with hockey players. But just from a feasible financial standpoint, you could go 8 years, or what's interesting about this in the case of Quinn Hughes is you could go 3 years through 2029-30. Why? Because that's when Jack Hughes' contract with the Devils is up. And so there could be something to be said for, hey, he only wants to do 3 years. He wants to see what his brother does. Not surprising. Not closing the door on the fact his brother could eventually come here. And if you do that, the only question is how comfortable, and I think that you should be, if he only wants to do 3, there is an argument to be made that there is a window in which you should win a Stanley Cup within the 3-year period that starts next season and then would go through the end of the Jack Hughes contract in New Jersey. And what's interesting about this, Age, is you talked about Ek. Joel Eriksson is signed for 3 more years at 5.25, which is a complete bargain. He signed a contract. He signed a below market contract for the previous salary caps.
Right.
At $5.25 million per season, AAV. He's 29. Let's go through the blue line. Jared Spurgeon, is signed through 26-27, 7.6 million per. He's 36. The perpetually always hurt Jonas Brodin is 33. He is signed at 6 million per season through 27-28. Jake Middleton is 30. I don't know if I consider him an absolutely key part, but he's definitely a part of the team. 4.4 million per season for 3 more years. So he's signed through 28-29. My point is, if you consider the like the spine of this team to be Boldy, Kaprizov, Faber, and Hughes, if he returns, there is a 3-year period here where you should arguably win a cup within the next 3 years, and then you're going to have to sort of turn the page, but you're going to do it with this core group of players that's really, really good that you can rebuild around. So I think the Wild could be in a very favorable situation here, no matter what they do, based on when contracts are expiring, guys' ages, and the fact that their younger core still. Boldy is 24, which is incredible. It feels like he should be 36. Faber is still young. Kaprizov's 28. But you can basically have 2 windows here, and Quinn Hughes can sort of pick which window he wants to fit into. But no matter what, you should be in, right now, a cup-worthy winning window.
And the thing about this is, too, I mean, how many times in the summers over the past handful of years have we had to lean on he's got this connection to Minnesota. He's going to want to come home and play for his hometown team. You might be able to have these free agents who the Wild, because keep in mind, Bill Guerin has said, F them picks. So they're not going to be getting picks that are going to help them in this 3-year window. But you might get a team that looks so good on paper that you might actually have free agents that want to say, hey, I want to go play in Minnesota. Granted, I think because you're going to have all of this money presumably allocated to your superstars,
right?
It's not going to be, it's not going to be the superstar top end free agents, but you're going to get the premium, meaty, like average to just above average free agents who you might actually say, wow, they are signing with the Wild because they think that is the destination and go and win. And these guys maybe are, in these July months, getting in their ears saying, yeah, look, the fan base is great. You're able to go out and, it's not the Toronto media where, frankly, it's weird to say that Minnesota might be a more desirable hockey team to sign with in a summer than the Toronto Maple Leafs. When's the last time you think that actually carried some weight? Because the paths of these franchise and the way that maybe the fan base can be so hostile at times, and just the media, and granted, I guess we are in a realm part of that, but you don't have, I guess, or like look at Edmonton with Connor McDavid. There's interviews you see where you can almost see the regret at times on his face, like, why did I sign? Why did I extend here again?
And they are just, I mean, they're not great. They're not really well run too, as far as like a goaltender.
He takes a big discount and.
Then the 3 markets in Canada that are really difficult are Toronto is damn near impossible.
Absolutely.
Vancouver is a cesspool. Like Quinn Hughes, I think he was facing like 30 people covering the team for home games there. Here it's a collection of like you and me and the beat people, and so but it's very small. And Montreal is tough just because of the expectations.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, if Quinn and Jack want to align, and I am not convinced by any means that Jack is like, you got to come here to Jersey, I'm going to resign. That's very much wait and see. So if you
a lot can change over the next 4 years now.
Exactly. And so if you want Jack, and the thing about it too is, keep in mind, we saw this with the cap going up by a decent amount this year to 95.5 million. But last July 1st, what did we see? We saw a ton of guys, in part because you could sign an 8-year contract with your current team, but we saw a ton of guys stay put. Like, the money's going to be there to keep guys now, which is going to change things. So this whole thing about, July 1st, free agency's a bonanza, that's sort of not necessarily going to be true. And the season that I think is the really key salary cap season will be when you go from the projection, and this could change too, it could go up. When you go from the projection in 26-27 of $104 million, which is nice, right? Mm-hmm. To 113.5 in 27-28, and then possibly to 123 million in 28-29. That's going to change everything. And so that's where it sort of gives you this opportunity to try to win now. But then if you do want to make a substantial move, let's say it's a trade or something like that, you could have that ability as well potentially. So I just think, one, Parisi and Suter, who have left us all scarred because of their contracts, but one, to be fair, Parisi and Suter were never Boldy, Kaprizov, Quinn Hughes. Like, they were very good players in their prime, but we're talking potentially 3 superstars here. I don't know that it would be fair to call those 2 guys superstars. I think they had star power when they signed here, but one, these guys are better. And 2, if you look at the situation as well, as I said at the outset of the show, the cap didn't go up then. It's going up now. So we sort of need to rethink things. And I did see that. So, and it's probably a smart move. The NHL is trying to go back to its TV partners right now, and this offseason start to redo or do longer term extend deals in part because the NFL is going to do the same. I guess the National Football League basically said, and I think they've got this right, some type of trigger in their contracts. They've said, hey, we want to start to talk about our contracts and redo them right now, which of course is ridiculous, but hey, they can do what they want. Hockey's trying to jump them by saying, okay, we will do that first though. Let's get what we possibly can. And so if they do that, the cap could go up if they get more, especially US TV revenue. All of this again puts the Wild, I think, in a potentially pretty good situation if they do it right, and it feels like cap-wise, they've come to a place now where it's much more comfortable.
And I saw a rumor that the NHL, excuse me, is going to be looking to potentially get some of their games on CBS networks and streaming platforms too. Yes. So you might have some of that money influx there. What I'm interested to watch the most, Judd, is the inflation of these bottom 6 contracts. In the offseason, you signed, let's just take Nico Sturm, a 2-year, total $4 million. So he's making $2 million a year.
Yep.
In 4 years, is that even going to be possible? Will a guy be able to take that much money? Because you're going to have the money, I think, and you're going to be giving these GMs presumably just randomly in a 2-year stretch, an extra $10 million every year. What will they do with that money? You're going to see the real savvy GMs separated from the shopaholic GMs.
I love this, yeah.
They're going to say, hey, I got to get this star guy. I got to do whatever. Maybe I feel like I'm on the hot seat. Let's burn 8.5 of that $10 million on one guy. Yes. You still got to get sides for the meal, pal. You still got to get napkins and plates.
This happened in the NBA 5 years ago. The cap went up huge, and all these slappies, all these really average players were being signed for huge contracts. But of course, what was going on then was guys under contract who were underpaid, they came up for contracts and they then said, give me mine. And when you did that, the guys like the Storms went back down. So the parallel here, I love this point, H. The parallel here is Boldy, for instance. That dude is making $7 million AAV through 29-30. Okay.
Yep.
You better believe, and so that's in 4 years. He'll be late 20s when the contract expires. But you better believe that Matt Boldy then, assuming health, in 30-31 is going to break the freaking bank, right?
Yeah.
Brock
Absolutely.
Faber is signed for 4 more years at 8.5. So this is a great point. For as long as you've got those guys under control, you can overpay bottom 6 guys, and you can give a guy like Quinn Hughes the bank basically, and you're probably okay. But yeah, I love that because these guys who are right now going to be eventually grossly underpaid are going to say, where's mine? And that's when you've got to have it to spend, because you don't want Brock Faber walking out the door someday because some guy who's not in the league yet and is on a 4th line, all of a sudden is getting $3 million per because, we just had that to spend.
He's not going to say, you know what, my credit union sponsorship and my glasses brand are like doing enough for me off the ice to where I can take this discount. You think Matt Boldy's going to get to the end of this contract and in 2030, he's going to be like, yeah, I can take 14 mil. That's fine. If you think he's taking a penny less than 17 mil, because from now, what is it going to be 5 years out? The inflation of a deal like that, assuming he stays on this same path and continues to play at this level, his impact is going to be worth, frankly, probably near $20 million a year. Like, which is crazy to say.
At that time, yeah.
At that time, that'll make sense. And like, we can, people are going to say, no hockey player's ever going to make $20 million a year.
Yeah, they will.
They will. They absolutely will. And we may even get to a point here where in 3 years, we look back and say, wow, what a steal Kaprizov is on. I don't know if we get there that quickly, but first we need some of the other players around the league to realize their worth and make that contract look a little better for Guerin. But Quinn Hughes is going to make at least 16. At least. So
At least.
So this
Or
raise
he
over the
should.
next handful of years. Oh, and he should. He absolutely
Unless he
should.
does a 3-year. I wonder if he does a 3-year deal, if they would agree for it to be less because the cap won't have gone up as much. But most importantly, 3 years is very, very short. But nonetheless, I think a Stanley Cup within 3 years is not some wild ask.
No, it's not.
No pun intended. No pun intended on wild ask. I didn't even put that together. I'd like to apologize.
It'll be interesting to see because we do have his ties to like the Kachuk family, and you look at what Matthew and his teammates have done in Florida, where it's like a lot of those guys have took hometown discounts to really keep that team together. So we'll see with him how much he values. And granted, if he asks for a bag, I'm not going to hold it against him. He's a fantastic hockey player. He deserves to get paid. But if he comes back and he almost does the McDavid route, where it's like, I'll take 12. I'll take 12 for the next 3 years, and we'll call it square, and then we'll figure out what the deal is. One, that makes it a little easier to swallow if he does just end up walking and go play with his brother, because I don't think you should base the future of your plans around Jack Hughes.
No.
He's a terrific player and everything. But if there's other players that you feel like you could either trade for or sign or something like that, that makes a completely different thing. Jack Hughes is his own player in a special right, but he's not a let's control the future. And he's not even
Quinn might try to control the future to play with him. The Wild can't control the future to accommodate Jack. But that being said, too, if they trade for, let's just say hypothetically, in June or July, they trade for Brady Tkachuk of the Senators, who's one of Quinn's best friends, that's going to be an influence as well. And that gets into the contracts going up and paying the right people, not just paying guys for the sake of paying them. Hey, let's talk about my friends, our newest sponsor here, and we really appreciate them at 3 Star Sports Cards. 3 Stars is known to serve, is there to serve your collecting needs. They've been around since 2008 and have store locations in Bloomington, fantastic location, Little Canada, and make sure to check out their newest store in Minnetonka. 3 Stars, the premier destination for sports cards, Pokemon, and Magic the Gathering. And as an Upper Deck Diamond dealer, 3 Star Sports Cards will always have a great selection of sealed hockey packs and boxes to choose from. Establish a loyalty rewards account by going into the Minnetonka, Bloomington, or Little Canada location and use the code JUD2026. So that's a loyalty rewards account. The code is JUD, JUDD 2026. And let's check out some cards right now.
Also, while you're ripping that open, I do just want not to put you on the spot here, but along with Pokemon, they do have Pokemon as well.
Oh, Pokemon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I saw a couple.
I knew I was the one that I had to look up was Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, I don't really get that one. I get it's collecting and also playing.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was at all.
It's not
Pokemon
really
or Pokemon, I knew existed.
Okay.
I just mispronounced it. But
I didn't
Magic
expect
the
you
Gathering,
to.
I was very confused by. But anyway, what I've got here, AJ,
Yeah, what do you got?
Is a pack of 2021 OPG Platinum. The rookie season, if I'm not mistaken, of one Kirill Kaprizov and your guy Tim Stützle of the Senators, correct?
Yeah, if it's 2021, that'd be them. OPG Platinum is like my favorite product.
Okay, let's go through. Oh my gosh, these are nice.
It looks
Check
pretty.
this out.
A lot of parallels. Let's see what you got here.
Nikita Kucherov.
Oh,
These are sharp.
most points so far in 2026 by any player by a mile. I think he's up like 25 points on the next person.
Crazy good player. The next one, familiar face, Matt Zuccarello.
Oh, the lizard, the king lizard himself.
The king lizard. I wonder what stick that is. Oh, it's a Bauer. It's a Bauer stick.
It's funny
He
that
changes
he just
sticks
like takes as many sticks as possible. And he's
I
like,
know
yeah,
it
I
is.
can make it work. Yeah.
I know it is. Okay, we got a few more. We got two more. These are nice. A Brock Besser from the OPG pack.
Nice. Unfortunately, didn't come back home, but that's all right.
That's okay. I guess he might be. He was
Frankly,
being
that actually might have been a blessing in disguise.
I was going to say I'm not going to complain. And at the time, a member of the Vegas Golden Knights, Max Pacioretty, who is now retired. I think he's an assistant coach at like Michigan now.
Well, you know what? He got his cup.
He
was
did
a
get
part
his
of that.
cup.
Yeah, so good for
He
him.
did get his cup. So that's 3-star sports cards. Again, thanks to them for these packs we have been ripping for the past 2 weeks. Bloomington, Little Canada, and Minnetonka. Check out their website, by the way, for more information. 3starsportscards.com. 3starsportscards.com. And don't forget to establish the loyalty rewards account by using the code JUDD, J-U-D-D, 2026. The last thing for you, H2, is the other thing is the Wild is, it's funny, you know, with all of the trades that they made and what they did at the deadline, when you look at who's going to be the unrestricted going into next offseason, Tarasenko, who I think is probably gone. It's been fun.
Which is just fine by me.
Yep. Nick Foligno, probably. He's 38. He might retire.
Yeah.
Marcus Johansson. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with him, and Mats Zuccarello as well, who I am guessing now is coming back, because if you're Kirill Kaprizov's best friend, you are an absolute genius. Anyway, so back tomorrow with Jesse Pierce. The Wild starts its homestand tonight playing the Utah Mammoth, who have been just a nightmare for them. We'll see how they do. We'll talk about that game, talk about plenty more during a very exciting time here as Judd's Hockey Show, an episode coming at you again tomorrow. Appreciate it as always. He's AJ, I'm Judd. We'll talk to you later.